About competition. The higher you climb, the greater the pressure. Those who manage to endure learn that the distance between the top and the bottom is obscenely great. And those who succeed know this secret: there isn't one. Oh, hello there. I didn't see you guys come in. Welcome to Bitcoin Talk Show. Today is Wednesday, June 13th, 2018. My name is Thomas Hunt, and let's just get started. The price of Bitcoin was down 1.79% in the last 24 hours, with a last of 64.43, a high of 67.76, and a low of 64.04. That's $1 for 15,544 Satoshis. We've just crossed the 15,000 Satoshi barrier in the wrong direction. Later on, we'll be having another brief reading of To Satoshi with Love. But until then, the news. Bitcoin's price was artificially inflated last year, researchers say, from the New York Times. A concentrated campaign of price manipulation may have accounted for at least half of the increase in the price of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies last year, according to a paper released on Wednesday by an academic with a history of spotting fraud in financial markets. The paper by John Griffin, a finance professor at the University of Texas, and Amin Shams, a graduate student, is likely to stoke a debate about how much of Bitcoin's skyrocketing gain last year was caused by the covert action of a few big players, rather than real demand from investors. And the survey says, it's Tether. It's Tether. Mr. Griffin looked at the flow of digital tokens going in and out of Bitfinex and identified several distinct patterns that suggest someone, or some people at the exchange, successfully worked to push up prices when they sagged at other exchanges. To do that, the person or people used a secondary virtual currency known as Tether, which was created and sold by the owners of Bitfinex to buy up those other cryptocurrencies. There was obviously tremendous price increases last year, and this paper indicates that manipulation played a large part in those price increases. Bitfinex executives have denied in the past that the exchange was involved in any manipulation. The company did not respond to a request for comment this week. So what do you guys think? Was it Bitfinex? Was it Tether? We had this problem last time when the price of Bitcoin spiked to $1,200. We were really excited at the time. Afterwards, we found out, allegedly, it was two trading bots on Mt. Gox, the Marcus and the Willy bot, which were trading back and forth against each other with no fees, causing the price to rise on Mt. Gox, causing the rest of the industry to follow. Are we now seeing the same thing with Tether and Bitfinex, where one exchange used Tether to buy up the low cryptocurrencies, driving their price up, moving the whole market up? Is this the reason for the, in hindsight, rather insane rise to $20,000? Was it manipulation? The media says yes. Let me know what you think in the chat. Going on to the next story. It's the same story. Tether used to manipulate the price of Bitcoin during 2017 peak. New study. And again, the media is going to use this as a, does there be video? Oh, there's some video. Just see Hangouts on the air. Okay, how about now? I did have to turn it off and on again. I don't know. Google is, they're taking Hangouts away. So we enjoy what we have with Hangouts. Maybe there's video now. I refreshed it and reloaded it. I'll click on it here. But you can let me know in the chat. Otherwise, I guess we'll go with just audio for a while. I was saying again that Bloomberg agrees with the New York Times, saying that it was likely Tether that drove the price up. If the screen share is not working, it is on screen share. So I did have to reset before I started, but I thought it worked. So let me know, guys. Just how low could Bitcoin's price drop? Investopedia. No change. Yeah, Google giveth and Google taketh away. I guess we're audio only for a little while today. Just how low could Bitcoin's price drop? The price drop 10,000 is below 5,000 possible. Again, they quote the same person. If one person is driving down the price of Bitcoin, we have a problem. I don't care how much you guys trust that one person and what a great analyst he is. He's driving down the price of Bitcoin. It's not a great thing. I would avoid that if I were you. Crypto hacks. Is your Bitcoin investment safe? Yeah, I know. We've only got audio right now. Crypto hacks. Is your Bitcoin investment safe? Well, if you hold it yourself, but if you hold it on an exchange, it might always be taken away from you. In the latest incident, South Korean exchange CoinRail announced Monday it had been targeted by cyber thieves who stole about 30% of its virtual currencies and then knocked about 30% off the market cap of Bitcoin. Thanks so much, guys. If that was even the reason. CoinDesk. Bitcoin bulls eye $6,000 bottom after 4-month low. Going to the analysis by Omkar Godbull. Bitcoin is still looking south, having hit 4-month lows today, but the bearish momentum may wane due to short-term oversold conditions, the technical charts indicate. More bears joined the party in the U.S. session Tuesday after the cryptocurrency failed to cross twin resistant lines for 6,859 and the moving average and the 23.6 Fibonacci retracement. As a result, the price fell to 6,370 on Bitfinex today, the lowest level since February 6th. At press time, Bitcoin was slightly higher at 6,453. The drop to the 4-month low has bolstered the already bearish technical setup and raised the odds of a sell-off to $6,000, the February low. Let's go down to the view. Longer term, Bitcoin is still eyeing a drop to 6,000 amid a generally bearish market. In the next 48 hours, bearish momentum may weaken and prices could revisit the 5-day moving average, currently located at 6,800. The possibility of a major V-shaped recovery is low. Only a daily close above the 10-day moving average, currently seen at 7,214, would signal a bearish invalidation. Not looking great. And we've got exciting news. How much Bitcoin would you spend on a Warhol? Maybe this isn't the best time. Maybe you were Warhol shopping 6 months ago, but now it's more on a wish list, or maybe you could get a Warhol on layaway. As it says here, when Andy Warhol's 14 small electric chairs goes up for auction on June 20th, the painting won't just entice fine art dealers and collectors. Bitcoin billionaires will no doubt tune in to watch and maybe buy into the world's first ever public auction in which the winners will pay with cryptocurrency. Could get a Warhol. I'm looking at the Warhol right now. It is silk screened pictures of an electric chair. The chairs on the left are painted pink. The ones on the right, 3 of them are red, 1 green, and 3 purple. So it's a pretty standard Andy Warhol silk screen piece, but it is now available for Bitcoin. So if you would like to buy it for me, I would put it on the wall behind me during the show. I'm sure it'll go for millions of dollars. Sounds like a sweet deal. All right, let's check in with the chat. We were apparently having video problems this morning. I did have to reset my Google Hangouts right before I launched. I turned off the VPN and I attached to the faster Wi-Fi network, but apparently somehow lost video along the way. Sorry about that, but we'll just keep going with audio for this morning edition, and we'll be back with video again in the later edition. Don't know what's going wrong on my screen. It looks fine. So not much we can do. I was also wishing that Google would fix the lower thirds. Hangouts might not have much life left. If you guys have seen on YouTube, there's now a YouTube camera. It's kind of like Hangouts without all the features, and it's for stupid people. And they just want you to broadcast really quickly and to talk directly from the camera and to not really have a focused or a controlled show. So yeah, it's unfortunate that Google's doing this. I really like Hangouts. I think it's a good product and it could get better. We're talking to Bitcoin and Coffee. Shout out. He's doing his own Bitcoin show. He says he's working on it. He's got 2,000 subscribers. That's pretty good. Got to keep working on it. One of the tricks, do it every day. I know you don't want to, and I know when you're early and you're new and you don't have anyone watching or listening, it seems like no point. But it really helps to do it every day. That's good for the audience. It's good for the show. You're going to get better faster. The more bad shows you do, the more you're going to get faster. So let's see. Just seeing Hangouts on the air. Yeah, we only have the video. And if you hold on to a turd long enough, it might become a flower. Well, that's how fertilizer works. Bitcoin signed its death certificate. People are super down about this study about Tether. Remember, from a Bitcoin perspective, we have been here before. The Mt. Gox claims of hitting the price up to $1,200 did not stop the price from going to $5,000 or $20,000, even if that was another round of manipulation. Again, you have to make your own decision. If you think that the whole market is going to sell off because of this manipulation news, which is possible, then you should dump. If you don't think that, or if you're not that worried about your investment because you don't need to sell for 5 years, then just hold. If you need to sell in 6 months or 3 months, you're probably going to end up selling. So you may as well take it out. Let's see. They're talking here. Voice is good enough. Crypto is doomed. Well, then, quit. Like, you're not going to get the ups if you don't stay in. There's going to be downs and there's going to be ups. But once again, just dollar cost averaging, investing a little bit at a time, not investing more than you can afford to lose, as difficult as that can be, and also accepting your temporary or, perhaps longer term, depending on how long this thing lasts, losses. We've all taken some losses, so it goes. But we didn't have the money in the first place. Am I worried? Not especially. I mean, I'm in a unique position. I need Bitcoin donations and I need people to watch the shows to continue paying my rent. So that's important to me. I can tell you from a personal situation that less people are definitely interested in Bitcoin right now. We're getting less Google searches. We're getting less views on these videos. That's why it is so important that you give us a thumbs up and a share and subscribe if you haven't subscribed already down below. Remember, subscribing to a YouTube channel is free. If you click the bell, you'll get notifications about when we go live, and it'll help out the channel. So thanks so much for your support. Do I think we'll go lower? I mean, remember, we've already bounced to 5,000 after the 20,000 hit. It happened really quickly. Maybe it wasn't as stressful for people because it bounced down and it bounced back up, which it might do. But then again, they're starting to say this long-term bear market thing again. So maybe it pops down for a while and stays down there. It'll be a bummer, but it's also a great time to get some more Bitcoin. And once again, if you're dollar cost averaging and all those kinds of things, you'll be fine. You're a moron if you think analysts are driving the price down. I'm not so sure. When you look at the analysts and they keep saying negative things from the top to the bottom, and we keep going through these lines like a bunch of lemmings because they say, oh, we broke that line, so I have to sell. And, oh, we broke that line, so 1,000 of us have to sell at the same time. It does have some effect. And when you're continuously down something, when you bash it every time you go on television, when you say how bad it is, you're contributing to the negative effect. You don't have to be sunshine and rainbows if you think the charts are bad. You don't have to be all happy about Bitcoin if you think it's no good. But if you think it's a good thing long term, and every time you go on TV and talk about it, you say something negative about it, it doesn't make any sense. So I would just look into that some more. I would also say that it's a very important thing for me personally when I decide who to trust with my opinion or their kind of analysis. I look at people who have skin in the game. I look for people who are out there with me on the line. When I see people that don't have skin in the game telling other people with skin in the game what to do, I wonder why you're listening to them. So I would just keep that in mind. Market manipulation does not change what Bitcoin is. I agree with that. Bitcoin still works. Bitcoin still irreversible, immutable. You can send your transaction one way and it will get there. You can receive payment for your work. You can send money back to your friends overseas. So Bitcoin still does work. The Lightning Network is still being worked on. The companies still have money. They're still paying their coders. Everything is going fine, but we are in agreement. The price is temporarily down. The price may go down further, and the price may recover. No one knows. But, we're going to hang on, and we're in this for the technology. I think it's a great technology. I think that people should learn how to use it. Like email in 1995, maybe you don't have anyone to email. but it's a good idea to learn how to use it. And if you can't see that, maybe you didn't go through the last internet bubble or revolution or whatever you want to call it. But having that knowledge made all the difference. Having the knowledge of email in 95, 94. I was on BBSs before that, and I was trying to get to the internet. We didn't have any internet. The BBSs were like our internet. Some BBSs, it was a bulletin board service. You could call up with a modem, just call directly. Other ones had multiple lines so that multiple people could connect at the same time. There were even some mega BBSs that were kind of like the internet, where hundreds of people would connect at the same time. But this is what we did before the internet. And once again, kind of like Morpheus in the Matrix movies, where he's searching for Neo. I think a lot of us were searching for this internet, and we were searching for Bitcoin, and we were searching for these cypherpunk ideas that we'd always read about. And that's what's so exciting about things like iPhones, which are like Star Trek communicators, and wireless internet, which is still pretty damn impressive. I used to have to run a wire everywhere. And I think we've come a long way, and a lot of us, like I was saying, Morpheus and Neo, we're searching for that internet. We're searching for that Bitcoin. And now that we found it, I don't think we're going to give up just because the price went down. I don't think that it's time to stop teaching people about Bitcoin. I don't think that it's time to stop giving out $1 to new people when they install a wallet. I think it's time to do that 10 times as much. I think it's time to hand out more flyers. I think it's time to tell your friends about Bitcoin because the price is down. I heard a lot of nonsense when we were above 15,000. Oh, I wish the price of Bitcoin would come down so I could buy. And oh, I wish it was just a little bit lower so I could, get into this Bitcoin. And oh, it's just so high. And now that it's lower, those same people have the fear. They're like, oh, I can't get in. It's just going to keep going down. And oh, it's never going to go back up and all these kind of things. But I don't think that. I think that, now is the time, and not to put a lot of money in, but to dollar cost average, to not invest more than you can lose, put $100 a month in, whatever you want, just try to track it. And I think it's a great time to get into Bitcoin. They're agreeing with me in the chat. They say that the old Warren Buffett line that you should buy when the fear is here, and when there's opportunity, when there's blood in the streets, and buy when others are fearful, and that kind of thing. And that's, again, you have to have the strength to do that. When Facebook stock went down after the IPO, I just held mine. But an even smarter move would have been to double down and to buy more when it's low. And if you've got a good job and you've got a good savings account and you're investing a reasonable amount, hopefully you're in a good position to, if not double down, at least to get some more while it's low. And remember, if you're in some kind of hurting position because you bought Bitcoin at 18K and how you're looking at it as almost a third of that price, this is a great time to get more to reduce the price of your 18K Bitcoin. If you had one Bitcoin at 18K, you got one Bitcoin at 6K, you put that together, it's around 12K, right? If you got another one, maybe you could even get it down lower. So there it is. So we're looking at the chat, and we've got a few more stories here on Twitter. Where'd it go? Here we go. John Carvalho, Bitcoin Era Log, says, the most successful people that he's met lie constantly, sold their soul, are innately narcissistic, are manically obsessed, believe their own bullshit, build sock puppet armies, know very little, constantly work to misinform, and take credit for the work of others. And I think he's probably talking about one person in particular. And if you've seen John's interview with Roger Ver, you probably know what he's trying to say here. But at the same time, I think he's talking Anyone can hear me? No? It takes about 2 minutes. You guys are behind me. Otherwise, I'll hang up and try again. Okay, maybe we'll try again. Yes or no? Yes. Okay, it's back. All right, can you see video now? Okay, there's a lot of yeses. That was cool. So we were talking about Roger, and I was saying that Roger, I like Roger. I think he's a good guy. I don't want to bag on Roger. I know that he's split off from Bitcoin and he's doing his own thing, and I don't like that his own thing has the same name as Bitcoin. No video still, but audio. Okay, well we'll keep going with this. I'm not sure what happened to the video because it's looking fine on my screen. So Google is really confusing me with this one. But we'll try to keep it going. But yeah, so Roger was Bitcoin Jesus. He spread the word to people at parties. He told children about Bitcoin. And this was back, it's a magical time. I was not directly into Bitcoin at that time. I knew about it and stuff. It was in the back of my mind, but I didn't take any actions towards Bitcoin. But Roger was out there taking actions and spreading the word and giving it to people, even when it might have been magical. Like Roger gives you 10 Bitcoins that are worth $1. And golly gee, now 10 Bitcoins is still 60K. I mean, that's life changing. That's magical. I wish I could have given out Bitcoin in that way. I mean, the Bitcoin I gave out, I gave a friend of mine $1, and I think at one point it was worth $14. So that was pretty cool. But again, $14 is nothing you can retire on. But yes, Roger did this and he spread the word about Bitcoin and he believed in it and he helped the community and he helped a lot of people. But now with this Bitcoin Cash thing, for me, it doesn't even matter about the technology and all the other things. I just think it's unfortunate to take the name. When you try to take the name, you start acting duplicitous. When you start acting duplicitous, I can't trust you. And when I can't trust you, it doesn't matter about all the other technical things. It's you took the name. You know, I can't go any further. I wish, I mean, we wish we were having a fair and scientific discussion about these bigger blocks and that we could actually do a test of whether or not censorship resistance goes away when you reduce the number of nodes by making the blocks really big, making it so that you have to have $20,000 to run a node instead of like $500 or whatever it costs for a Raspberry Pi. And yeah, it's just tough to see what happened to Roger. Um, once again, I mean, I don't know, it's kind of silly, but in a way, I kind of think of him as maybe he's like Darth Vader. Maybe there's still good in him. Maybe he can come back. But I also know from people that have told me and from obvious observation, he's spending a lot of money on that Bitcoin.com to try to sell people on Bcash. I just recently heard from a caller yesterday that he's sponsoring the Atlanta Bitcoin meetup. And now the Atlanta Bitcoin meetup is all about Bcash. And they are working hard to spread their goal. They show no signs of giving up. So it doesn't seem like he would be coming back to us anytime soon. I'm trying to connect to my remote desktop, which also broke while we reset there. But they're saying in the chat, it's funny how everything leads to Star Wars or Star Trek. It is funny. Maybe I don't have that many good analogies. Maybe I should do more Shakespeare analogies. But I do think Star Wars and Star Trek are important. Let's see. We've got a couple more tweets to read. Then we're going to try to open up the phone lines if I can log into the Mac Pro, which doesn't seem like I can. So we might just be having general internet issues or some kind of problem, which I don't know why. I'm like a baseball's throw away from the router. I'm right there. But Luke Parker is tweeting and he says, wow, this can't be stated strong enough. Bitcoin is now the best blockchain for silliness like CryptoKitties because of low fees and high capacity. And he's referring to a tweet here by David Harding, who's talking about Satoshis.place. And Satoshis.place is that place where you can send Lightning and draw on a screen. So it's similar to the Reddit projects where everyone does a shared drawing together, except that you pay with a little bit of Lightning Network Bitcoins, you know, that kind of thing. So it's a really cool project. And as David is saying here, even knowing how Lightning Network works, watching the frenzied activity on Satoshis.place made me wonder about the mempool. Were all these people opening up channels driving up transaction fees? The answer, it seems, is no. Lightning Network enables silly fun like CryptoKitties without killing capacity. So very cool to see the new network working and being tested out even in the real world with Satoshi's Dot Place, the interactive art project. And yes, they're using the interactive art project to draw dicks on everything. So the internet is very much still alive in the Lightning Network of Satoshi's Place. Kevin Pham writes on Twitter, after you bought the $1,000 top in 2013 and got dragged through a 3-year bear market where Bitcoin lost 80% of its value, nothing phases you. And he's got a great gif of Neo fighting Agent Smith here and doing a little blocking, you know. Murphy Green writes, and this is going to be, this is a visual joke, so I guess I won't even do it because my video is not working. But there's a great visual joke of this elderly gentleman who bought a 10-foot by 4-foot picture of the Fourth Rail Bridge, and he seemingly forgot that he could just open the blinds. There's a great camera angle of showing the shot of the painting that he bought, and then they pan to the window, and it's the exact same bridge, almost the exact same view out his window. And it says, Granny was not happy with him. So it was pretty funny. And then we were talking to Ricardo Spagni, Fluffy Pony, on Twitter about the problem with physical things on the blockchain. And Joshua Junseth links to an article. I'm not sure if he wrote it or if he's just linking to it. But he talks about how he became Leonardo da Vinci on the blockchain. And we're basically pointing out the problem in all those IBM blockchain commercials where they say they've solved the problem of diamond ownership, or they've solved the problem of who owns fine art, and they've put it on a blockchain. And as I joked in the comments, the commercials assure me that IBM has solved the diamond problem. They blockchained it. And then it says, John Light responds with a great response. He says, it's not enough to put claims on the blockchain. You also have to have reputable parties attest to the validity of those claims. The more reputable parties attest to a claim, the more certain an onlooker can be that the claim is valid. And this is why I have such a problem with all these IBM blockchain commercials. They talk about things like farm to fork, and that now a farmer can finally prove that your rutabaga came from the farm and went into a truck and went into another truck and went to the store. And the problem is there's nothing validating their chain. When the Bitcoin blockchain is validated, it tells us how much Bitcoin people have. That's a mathematical truth. When the blockchain with the diamonds is having that, you can't prove where the diamonds came from. You can say that, yes, someone entered it, but for all we know, that rutabaga fell off the truck. The guy picked it back up, put it back in the truck, and never verified that it touched dirt as part of the blockchain. Why would you? The same way for the diamonds. If a couple of extra diamonds come into the machine and the guy just marks them as good diamonds, the blockchain's always going to say they're good diamonds. It's not a truth machine for anything other than the amount of Bitcoin. That's it. It's a truth machine for the amount of Bitcoin you have and that other people have. Ricardo had another great joke. He says, so randoms must come to my house to prove that I have the Mona Lisa? I read that with a little bit of indignant. He's like, I can't believe you're going to send these randoms out to approve my art collection. This is nonsense. So, and yeah, we had some good back and forths. Oh, cool. Fresh off the boat. Oh, I love that. Wait, you can't have bananas or sand on a blockchain? Brain explodes. Funny stuff. But I have been able to reestablish control with my remote desktop connection. I'm going to go ahead and open up Skype. We are having no video today. It's a special no video day, but the audio is working. Oh God, McAfee on the phone. Oh, terrifying. God, I hope he's not calling for me. I watched that documentary on Mr. McAfee on Netflix, and I'm not promoting it. I'm not mentioning it. I'm not mentioning it at all. I don't know if I certainly would take his call if he called, but I don't know if I'd want to. But I've just accepted 3 more people on Skype at World Crypto Network, all one word. You can give us a call now. Oh no, the Skype calls again. Well, that's what this show is about. This is Bitcoin Talk Show. It's about the calls. If you don't like the calls, please call in. Be a part of the show. Otherwise, be a negative person in the chat. We'll see how long that lasts. Might have to find a new chat. But we are open on the Skype lines at World Crypto Network, all one word. Oh, people are going to watch the McAfee documentary on Netflix. Well, at your own risk, man. I'm not promoting it. Hello, caller. You're live on the World Crypto Network. What's your name and where are you calling from? Oh, people are going to watch the McAfee documentary on Netflix. Well, at your own risk, man. I'm not promoting it. Better turn down your speaker there. Live on the World Crypto Network.
I don't think this is working right.
Oh, I think it's working. You just got to turn down your speaker and
right, nice.
Pause the video.
To ask if you know this nice article about the cartel already, because it speaks pretty well about the involvement of Bitfinex and Tether, Roger Ver, Barry Silbert and stuff with international drug trafficking and washing money with all the biggest exchanges. Just look into Coinapult, for example. You can do OTC trades without any registration there. So just for an example, what's possible right now. And also they are using the CME futures to hedge their OTC drug trades, for example. So that's just a little bit I wanted to push into the discussion.
Sure. That's interesting stuff. I did hear this morning that the New York Times, Bloomberg, and others were saying that Tether may have caused the price to go up. But that other stuff about the drugs and the money laundering, I haven't heard about yet. So if you've got a link to that article, I'd love to check it out.
Because Roger Ver seems also to be involved here. And you just spoke like very positive about him. So this would be maybe interesting to read.
It sounds very interesting. We'll have to check that out, see if anyone else has read that and has more information. What do you think? Do you think the price of Bitcoin was just artificially manipulated?
I'm not sure if it's all about the price. I think it's like there are pretty big OTC trades happening, and like the price is just something they want to hedge. So they go short on the CME futures, for example, do some OTC trades, and then Bitcoin's coming back to the market. So the exact process, if I remember, was they are printing Tether, buying some random altcoin up, pump it like hell. You see this a couple of times recently. And then they sell that coins back to Bitcoin, and basically they are collecting the Bitcoin to do the OTC trades. And after that, the Bitcoin's coming back to the market, also selling probably. And I think that would be the reason for the price to surge, to dip.
This is dark, man, because what they're doing is they're taking advantage of their position. They have a lot of money thanks to Bitcoin, and apparently they still don't have enough money from what I'm hearing here. And they're willing to, like you're saying, to manipulate the market by shorting it on one, buying it up on the other, driving up the price of the altcoins, driving down the price of the Bitcoin, all these things. They really must have a desire for a lot of money, and they're willing to take that money from a lot of other people. So
yeah, I have no idea what would be the reason. They are millionaires already, right? And they don't need any more money, in my opinion, but they are still doing some crazy stuff there. And especially this Barry Silbert guy is like connected everywhere and has like a share in
all right, so
many shell companies and venture capital firms. And this great journalist discovered this connection with the Bitfinex having some random bank account in Poland. And all this was possible because Bitfinex asked their customers to deposit euro in this Polish bank account, which later was found to be connected to the sex.io website and then to the Crypto Capital website. And there you have a list of this Coinapult website. And if you connect all the dots together, which this great journalist did in this article, then you have a big and dark picture about this big cartel he's naming them, and I think that's appropriate.
All right. Well, thanks so much for your call. We're going to keep discussing this here, but your Skype connection is kind of bouncing in and out, so we're going to let you go for right now.
Oh yeah, ciao, and thanks for listening to me.
Thank you so much, and give us a call anytime. Hopefully, we'll have a better connection next time. We have some issues today, but I don't know that it's directly Skype related. So I'm going to ask the audience now, what do you guys think about this new information? Do you think Barry Silbert and Roger Ver and some of the other very wealthy Bitcoiners have been doing this massive market manipulation? Just from what I could hear from what the caller was describing, it sounded, oh, this connection is okay for you guys. Okay, well, maybe for me it wasn't. I don't know. But that's great if it was okay for you. But he said basically that they're shorting it on the CME futures. They're using their actual Bitcoin to buy the altcoins, driving the price of the altcoin up, driving the price of the Bitcoin down, then selling their Bitcoin futures. So it sounds like a major story, a whole second level to this that the New York Times hasn't even covered yet, and that Bloomberg is likely covering tomorrow. So thanks so much, Simon, for the call. Give us a call anytime. If you'd like to call us now and tell us your opinion on this exciting new Bitcoin Tether news, well, maybe it's not exciting. Maybe it's depressing the price. It's ruining all of our investments. But it is exciting because it's new and it's something we didn't know about before. And again, this is we don't know for sure that this is true. This is all alleged information here. We're going to cover it. But just if you're joining us now, we were talking about Tether being used to manipulate the price of Bitcoin. But now there may be a whole second story with some of the early Bitcoiners with a lot of money doing some complicated maneuvering to run the price down and run the price up and take the profits into their pockets. The question we were asking earlier was, how much money do you need? They say, where's the article? Well, I mean, I'm on the air right now, so I can't really Google things. But if you guys want to Google it and give us a price, that would be great. I think the sound still works. I don't know. It's very strange. People are worried about the price running down all the way, all these kinds of things. I don't know. I don't know about that. Remember, there are other people who are going to make other decisions based on this information. And if you'd been sitting on the sideline with a lot of dollars waiting to buy, this is your opportunity. And there's a lot of banks and a lot of other people who might want to buy themselves some cheap Bitcoin. So if you'd like to give us a call now on Skype, World Crypto Network, all one word. Otherwise, we'll try to keep this open for a little bit longer. I do personally have to go find that article about Roger and Bitfinex and these other things so that I can read more about it. We'll definitely try to have that article for you by the evening show, if we pull together for an evening show. And if you have the article and you'd like to send it to me on Twitter or in the chat, you might have to put some spaces in it so the chat doesn't ban you. I will check that out. I'm checking Twitter. Yeah, I know. People want me to stream on DTube and Steam it, and I think it's cool, and I like Steam it. But the reality is, we have 169 viewers right here because of YouTube. Because when you thumbs things up on YouTube, it drives it to more people. When we get more subscribers, they come back and watch it. There's critical mass at YouTube. And since I'm looking for people to call in and people to talk to, I need that critical mass. I could do the show on Steam it, but no one would watch it. So not complaining or whining or anything. I just think that's pretty factual. Recently, I was putting some articles on Steam it, and I used to get $1 an article. Now I'm getting 10 cents an article, and I kind of slowed down that because it doesn't have much purpose. So we're sticking with YouTube because that's where the people are. But we are looking at perhaps heading to the end of this show. We have covered the Tether news, and we've covered the possible other Tether news, which might have even involved drugs and money laundering and all kinds of other great things. So we talked a little bit about the John McAfee documentary, which is now on Netflix. They're saying the title is Gringo. Yeah, it's a rough documentary on Mr. McAfee. He's a very interesting person. When he got out of McAfee antivirus, he had $100,000 or something, or $100 million, something like that. A man can do anything he wants with that, and Mr. McAfee certainly does whatever he wants. So it's a fascinating movie. I certainly would not speak ill of Mr. McAfee. But it's fascinating, and to see the way he was able to get out of all that trouble and still run for president is incredibly impressive. He's an impressive gentleman. The things he does. So let's see. People are going live at the same time. They say Andy's live. That's okay. There are 2 streams now. Google has improved their software, and they've allowed you to go with 2 streams. Although, since we are kind of heading towards the end of this show, we might just have everybody switch over to Andy's show and watch that. Andy's usually got some great commentaries, and sometimes he has interviews. I don't know which show he's doing, but he's got some great stuff. Oh, his daughter calls it cryptocurrency. Oh, you should give her some on her phone. You should let her give it a try. So, but we do have 2 shows on the World Crypto Network right now. So I think we are going to switch. Oh, this is funny. They're saying Andy has no sound. So I have no video and Andy has no sound. This is a tough day for Bitcoin videos. If he doesn't have any sound, I don't know that I'm going to stop broadcasting for that. Not that I really want to go on for hours and hours, but I do want to try to keep the lines open, see if we can get another call here. And if not, we'll probably just do a reading or something and head towards the end. I'm going to get some more water here. But we're talking about the price of Bitcoin. The price of Bitcoin is 6,437. And I was just watching a great old Mad Bitcoins video this morning, and we were all depressed that the price of Bitcoin had gone 10% down, and it had gone 10% down to $400. It went down 10% to $400 on the China ban years ago. And I was watching this great Mad Bitcoins, and I did the speech from Animal House where he says, the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor. The Germans bombed Pearl Harbor, and all those jokes. And I did it in, Mad Bitcoins and all the jokes and that kind of thing. So I thought it was really fun. But that's just a reminder to show you where we've been, that we've been to $400, and that after the $1,200 spike, we went back to 200. And right now we're after the 20K spike. We went to 5K, and now it looks like we might go to 5K again. No one knows. But it wasn't too long ago that 1,200 was triple the price, and that we were doing really good at 1,200, and you had to make some protective cells. And then the price went up 10 times again, and those protective cells were a disaster. Yeah. Hello, caller. You're live on the World Crypto Network. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hello, you can hear me?
Yep. Make sure to turn your speaker down. Go ahead.
Yeah, I did. Hey, how's it going?
It's going great. Price is down a little bit, but I'm doing fine.
Yeah, good. I'm doing pretty good too. Just hanging out in Florida.
Nice. The hot but the humid. I'm in the hot but the dry.
Ooh, that dry stuff that's tough. I spent a month in Scottsdale, Arizona, and I felt like a dried up prune after that.
Yeah, I run a humidifier every night out here in Vegas. I stay inside a lot and I run the air conditioner a lot. It's nice though. You go outside, it's always sunny, it's always blue sky, and it's always a little warm. So
yeah, I'll take it.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Something that popped in my mind, just talking about Bitcoin. I think a lot of the new people that came in last year and this year are finally really shifting from they made a blind investment to wanting to find information. Like while the hype was high, it was more, I'm getting in on this thing and I'm holding on to it. They say to hold on to it. And now that the price is really getting depressed, they're starting to think, well, why am I holding on to this? And I think I've noticed on Twitter really that a lot of the new people it seems like they're looking for information. So I guess I want to say thank you for keeping it up and putting out education for new people.
Sure. Thanks so much. Yeah, we definitely try to keep it going. I think a lot of the people that bought at the $15,000 or $18,000 level, they're just looking to get rich, and they were looking to get rich quick, and they thought it would happen in 3 months, and instead it went the other way, and nobody was prepared for that, and now they're freaking out, and they're probably going to sell. The thing I would look for when you're selling, and this is something I try to do, and I'm not a good buyer or a seller, I'm not a good trader, but try to sell maybe 50-50. Try to sell 70-30. Try to sell even 90-10. Try to keep a little bit in case this thing goes back up. In the same way, though, I mean, a lot of people are just saying, well, I'm going to sell and I'm going to find the bottom and I'm going to buy the bottom. It's as hard to see the bottoms as it is to see the tops. So you can try it, but you might miss it. So
right, and the other side of it is if you've done some research, at least to me, after you learn about it, you just want to own some. And you know about it, you know how it's can potentially change the world, and it's groundbreaking technology on so many different levels. To me, I just want to have some. I mean, like not even necessarily as an investment, but it's like, wow, that's just a tool that I want in my tool belt. So,
well, definitely, and I can tell you're coming from kind of a computer geek perspective here. We all like new things. We like new technologies, stuff like that. It's exciting, and I remember even from a sound money perspective and a not a big fan of government money perspective. When I got my first little bit of Bitcoin and it was on my phone, and I moved it from my phone to a paper wallet, or I took it off the paper wallet and put it back on my phone, I was really impressed with it. I was like, wow, I'm moving money around without any government, without any bank, without any real secondary third party. I mean, the miners are a third party, but they're a distributed, decentralized third party. And yeah, I just thought it was really fantastic and really exciting. I'm not sure the new people feel this way, but I also wonder, are they just leaving their coins on Coinbase? Did they get hardware wallets, or did they get phone wallets? Have they split them up and put $10 here and $10 there? I'm not sure.
Yeah. I've had several people come out of the woodwork asking me about Bitcoin lately also. I've been in Bitcoin since early March 2013. And surprisingly, back then I thought I was late. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe this thing has existed for however many years, and I'm just now learning about it.
I felt the same way for sure. I remember looking at it at $30 and thinking that all the smart people got in at $1, and I was stupid. So it was tough.
Speaking of, like thinking of when we first got in, everyone, it's a brand new technology. So everyone is completely ignorant of what it is at first. You have to, because it's brand new. So back then there were way fewer distractions. That I learned about Bitcoin. You log on to Coinbase. There's one option. You buy Bitcoin, and that's it. But now, I just couldn't. It was hard to start to feel comfortable and confident in it back then, even, and there were so fewer distractions. So I can imagine how hard the people that are getting in now are having it, because there's so many distractions. You log on to Coinbase, now there's 4 options and soon to be 5 options.
Yeah, I've been pretty critical of them for that. I wish that Coinbase would make a site like Coinbase, but just call it buybitcoin.com, where you could go and just buy Bitcoin, and that they would have a recurring payment option, and they would put that right up front in the thing. They'd be like, now that you've bought $100 worth, why don't you buy $10 a month for a year? and that Coinbase could really take care of people and onboard them in an easy way without all this confusion and these other markets. But as we know, I guess Coinbase didn't make enough money just giving people Bitcoin and raising all that venture capital. They felt they had to go after that big Crypsy money of all those transaction fees from all those goofy new coins. So they had to make their choice. We are seeing some action in the Bitcoin market right now. I do have it on the screen, but my video is not working today. The price of Bitcoin has fallen to 6,386. There was a near bottom of 6,351. The volume on this sell was very high at 700. I guess that's coins. And it looks like a downward pointing syringe. So it's very stabby. And these are probably waking up, hearing about the Tether news, maybe even waking up, hearing about the secondary possible story of drug money and laundering and other nastiness. And they're freaking out and they're selling. So there it goes.
Well, you know,
there's a bit of a green candle, but
to me, you know, if you're really into Bitcoin years ago, or even the beginning or the first half of last year, you've had lots of time to sell. You know, how long was the price over 10,000, and then it was over 8,000 for, you know, a really long time. So to me, like, just logic would seem you've either sold all you're going to sell, or you just weren't going to sell any at this point. It seems odd that you would, at this point, you're just going to go, oh, okay, now, you know, I had 2 months to sell at a much higher price, but now I'll sell it.
Well, I think it has to do with fear, right? I mean, I know I have to pay my rent either through donations or through ad revenue from the views of this channel. And I can tell you both of those are down, right? Donations are down, ad revenue, interest in watching YouTube videos is down. So for me, it's looking scarier and scarier of how am I going to pay my rent? So whereas at 12,000 or something, more people were into Bitcoin and it was easier to feel comfortable. Now, more people are into selling Bitcoin. People have a negative thing about it. So the panic and the fear can overtake you. And even personally, I'm not happy about this, and I'm not proud to be such a bad trader or whatever. But when it started going up recently to 7,700, I thought we were going back up to 82. So I pretty much mostly went back in, and I had sells and I had money saved to live. But you kind of get greedy and you're like, well, maybe it'll go up more and then I'll have more money to live on. And it goes badly. So I keep selling. I keep buying it at the higher numbers and selling it at the lower numbers. So I don't know. It's a tough market, man. So.
Yeah, you know, I try to view it as whatever I put into Bitcoin is my liquefy as absolute last resort. I'm about to be homeless, or someone I know is sick and dying, and I can save them with that money. Mm-hmm. That's how I view what I have in Bitcoin. That, sure. You know, life needs money, and if you need money to greatly improve your life and you have money sitting there, you're forced to sell it. But when you're in the act of putting money into Bitcoin, it needs to be with the thought of, I'm putting this money away. I'm not investing. I'm not speculating. I'm just putting this money away. And that is just what you slowly build over time. And, you know, I've been through the first spike in April 2013 when it hit like $300 and crashed down to like 25. And then, of course, the famous one of 1,000 in the most recent one. And through those three dumps, each time I regretted selling as much as I did, because I think back and think, well, could I have gotten by without selling as much? Yes. And it's now the third time going through this, and it's harder than ever because the numbers are bigger than ever. But you have to think of it. This is what I liquefy last. Nothing has changed. The world needs Bitcoin. There's no such thing as a decentralized measure of value until Bitcoin was created. It's going to hold the fiat system to a respectable, responsible level of debt, because now if they balloon the system, it's going to be reflected in Bitcoin. So the technology is only better than ever. That's the Satoshi place where people are having fun drawing with Satoshis is just incredible. So the technology has not been degraded. It's even better. In the last 2 times, I sold more than I knew, ended up knowing I should have. You have to live your life, but just you got to hang in there. That was your savings. You put it in as savings. Keep it as savings. It is your savings account. If you agree.
No, I definitely agree. I think it's a great savings account. It's good when people have jobs. This is another time when I tell people it's a good time to get a job. It's a good time to hold on to your job. Bitcoin is not letting anyone retire today. So, but it can be tough when you get a large amount in there and you could retire off it. And then a few months later, you completely lose the large amount. I think there's some solace in the fact that when Bitcoin went to 20K or whatever, it was there for about 3 days. So you had about 3 days to realize that you'd made money, sell all of your money, and then still be okay with that. Another problem that goes through my head is this idea that, oh, I have, X amount of Bitcoin, and that's the biggest Bitcoin number I'll ever be able to get. And in 20 years or whatever, it'll be worth $1 million and all this stuff. And I'll be like, gosh, I wish I had X $1 million, blah, blah, blah. But there's no way around it. These two ideas conflict with each other, and the way the market goes up and down, I think next time it goes up, we all need to take a little bit more profits. But naturally, if we do that, it will go up more. So it's tough. It's a tough market.
Well, thank you. Thanks. And I guess just going out, I feel like there's a lot of new people that need you more than ever. And I really appreciate that you're, like I said, making videos every day still somehow. So
yep.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. Thanks for giving us a call, and give us a call anytime. We're going to try to keep this up, keep this show going. I am definitely doing more shows lately, both because I got this great computer that I don't have to plug things into, and because I want to, reward the community that rewarded me with the computer. I think that's a good deal. And also, I do think we're in a crisis point here. People are worried about the price of their Bitcoin, and I think it helps to talk it out. And a lot of times we have callers and people like myself that aren't professional traders, and we're not chart readers, and we're not voodoo artists or whatever is going on out here. And even just talking about it can help. And if you've got a good job and you've got a good saving strategy and you're not over investing into crypto, you're going to be fine. You can just shrug this off. I've had points where I went into a lot of credit card debt to keep my crypto. I'm in a nice position right now where I've paid off most of my credit card debt, and that feels really good. That is the one thing I bought for myself at the top. It was not very fun. I kept selling things that I loved and paying off things that I didn't care about. But the reality is I borrowed that money from the credit card company and I paid it back. And I like to be a person of my word. And even though they charged me ridiculous rates for borrowing all that money, they still did make it available for me. And it did help me hold a little bit more Bitcoin than I might have held otherwise. So I'm not recommending the credit card route, but I am saying it might work for you and allow you a little bit of holding time. But once again, I'm telling everybody to get jobs, everybody to keep your jobs. So I know that's not the funnest thing to hear, but it's good to keep it going. So we are still checking out the price of Bitcoin, which seems like it slowed down the fall a little bit. It's at 63.94. We did see a recent bottom of 63.51 and a couple of green candles after that. I'm looking at the 5-minute charts, so it's not really showing us that much. But we did see a large sell. Presumably someone got the Bitfinex Tether news and didn't like the Bitfinex Tether news. As always, you can give us a call right now on Skype at World Crypto Network, all one word. We'll try to keep this show open a little bit longer if we can get some more calls, keep this going. I do agree with the last caller. I think the new people need a lot of help. And I hope that we can be there for them, and that you can be there for them. If you have a new person that you convinced to buy Bitcoin and they're freaking out, maybe you can just convince them to sell half of it. Maybe they could just sell 70% of it and they could still hold 30% in case it comes back someday. And that's what we're all really looking for here. Like Tom Lee's Fund Strat Advisor says, if you're out of the market, you're going to miss the days when it goes up. You're also going to miss the days when it goes down. But that's what this is really about, is risk and investing. And if you believe in Bitcoin, if you believe in the technical side of it that you saw back in December, it's the same Bitcoin now. The Lightning Network is still running. It's being used on satoshis.place. And we're continuing to improve Bitcoin every day. The programmers are working on us, and it's going great. I mean, the price is a little crappy, but tech-wise, I've never felt better about Bitcoin. I feel that we went through a scaling fight, and I feel that one side was dishonest and not arguing from a technical standpoint. They had 30% to keep in their ASIC boost plans, and on the other side. So let's see. Jeremy was deciding if she should buy more or pay extra on his mortgage. Regrets paying extra on the mortgage now. I don't know. It's always good to pay down your mortgage to pay your bills. These are good things. Hello, caller. You're live on the World Crypto Network. What's your name and where are you calling from? Oh, microphone. Doesn't look like it's working. So give it another try. Test your setup and give us a call back. It looks like we are getting a link from Simon, who called earlier with the information about the cartel in Bitcoin. Nope, the copy and paste didn't work. Let me try that again. I'm going to try to get this up. It is a link on Medium, and I should be able to post it in the chat once I get it up here on my screen. But we'll go through this article. Again, it's a Medium article, so it's not a New York Times article. It's not a Bloomberg article. So we do have to have a different kind of journalistic standard here. I do not know if this article is true or false. I'm presenting it as a possibility. So it says, uncovering the real cartel in Bitcoin. And it's funny, I started with a disclaimer, and this author also started with a disclaimer. I'm going to drink a little bit more water. Here we go. We got another call. Hello, caller. You're live on the World Crypto Network. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hey, Thomas. This is Zach Allen calling from California, the Bay Area, your old hometown. How you doing?
Good old California. I love California. It's the best.
Yeah, you know,
I'm doing good.
It's another hot day, but not like Vegas weather.
Yeah, it's a little cooler there, I imagine. That's part of the fun of Vegas, is I got to move to summer early, because summer has certainly started here. We are swimming. It is hot outside. It's fun.
Oh, nice. Well, we're just out here on the back porch having our coffee, getting ready to go to work, and I'm just hanging out here with my little hodl crew.
Nice. It's been rough recently, but you guys are hanging in there?
Yeah. You know, I got in December in the high, and I just been kind of dollar cost averaging in a little bit each month, a little bit each week, and just trying to acquire my first Bitcoin. Getting married this year, I think it's going to be a good year. People are freaking out a little bit right now, but I'm not. I keep thinking about all the stuff that I've been learning about cryptocurrency and actually driving people nuts. But it reminds me a lot of like flow circles, in the sense of, like, I don't know, like permaculture. I sound a little bit out there when I say stuff like this, but like permaculture is the whole idea of like not having someone in control of gardening. You basically leave it up to the earth to take care of itself. And I feel like Bitcoin's a lot like that. And a lot of things in life that are really interesting to me, nonetheless, are these ideas of being able to go full circle, kind of like this Japanese concept. I've done Japanese martial arts as well. So it's being able to you know, earn, learn, return, kind of give back as you learn and do stuff. So I don't know. I haven't been freaking out. Everyone's been getting annoyed of me. But you know, I put on my World Crypto Network and I go to work and listen to you guys and just keep learning, and it kind of keeps me sane.
Nice, man. I do think it is kind of like a permaculture. I've also heard it described as an ecosystem. And
Yeah,
I think that's a neat idea to see Bitcoin more as a force of nature. It's like an atomic clock, right? It just kind of ticks every minute, and we just keep counting the isotopes and it keeps ticking, and that kind of thing. Bitcoin just keeps going, and it's a part of nature now. Whereas everything else, all our other money systems like the Federal Reserve and the central banks and these kind of things, they're controlled by people. Even with Ethereum, Vitalik is a person,
right.
maybe in space alien, but probably a person. And you know, he made the decision along with his crew to roll back their chain, and it made them really questionable in the eyes of a lot of Bitcoiners who are against that. But Bitcoin can never be rolled back. Bitcoin can never be unchanged. So I think it is like an ecosystem, and it's also something where right now we're very early on it. It's like the early days of the internet, and I was on my dial-up modem all the time, and your parents would pick up the phone line and screw up your internet, and they
Oh,
wouldn't understand why you had to be on the internet all the time.
yeah, the old 8086s.
Doesn't it feel just like this? Like you want to be on Bitcoin all the time. I want to talk about Bitcoin all the time. We've driven our friends and family nuts. We've taken to the internet. I know people like Vortex over on the Bitcoin News Show. He had the same thing. He's like, I'm driving my friends and family crazy. I won't stop talking about Bitcoin. And I was like, well, why don't you do a show about it? And why don't you interview some people? And he started out on Blab, and then he got going, and now he's doing a really good show, and he has really good guests.
Yeah,
And again, but it's all from the same place. We just want to talk about this. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say, you know, you spawned a thought in my head. I actually, after this last election, I actually was really, really discouraged with, and I'm not a Trump, a Hillary supporter, or anything like that. But this last election in California, there was really fishy stuff going on where I felt, and I actually kind of have some proof that my vote wasn't counted. And then they called the election the night before, during the primary, I should say, for Hillary and Bernie, and I felt like my vote wasn't counted, and I really did lose faith with a lot of stuff. And then you were talking about Vitalik and how they were rolling back stuff, and we need to have rules that are set and that we can all play by. And Bitcoin has kind of restored faith in being able to have some kind of rule set that doesn't change just because you have more money. And I think that's kind of also brings me back into why I guess I'm not freaking out, kind of like with the Bitcoin Cash people, things like that, because just because they have a lot of money doesn't mean that they can change the rules in the system. And that's a breath of fresh air in this current environment.
Well, I do think that's one of the best things about Bitcoin is that the rules are relatively simple, and that at least as far as you and I believe, they should be set in stone. There are 21 million Bitcoins. You can send them in one direction. You can never cancel that. Things like this are the backbone of Bitcoin as far as I'm concerned. And what was most terrifying about the Bcash project back when it was Bitcoin ABC or Bitcoin Unlimited or one of those other fork attempts that they tried is that they had this idea that everything could be put to a vote. And I like democracy. I think it's a decent system considering the alternatives, as Churchill said. But putting everything to a vote included the 21 million Bitcoin limit. And when I invested in Bitcoin, I tried to buy it with the idea being there's only 21 million of these. It's really impressive if I could even get my hands on one, not a rich person,
Right.
and to see them casually, oh, it's fine, we'll just change this. It completely changes the investment idea of Bitcoin and the sound moneyness. And that's why I know it's super sad. I could have made millions of dollars, but I didn't buy any Ethereum in the crowd sale, and I didn't really buy any Ethereum ever because I'd read that they could print more Ethereum. And I just thought that was an awful idea. I thought, not that I even have any reason to distrust Vitalik or his crew or any of that, and they're decent people. But just the very idea that they were okay with that. They have a completely different economic understanding of Bitcoin than I do. So,
well, and they're playing around with it, I guess. Yeah, I kind of agree with you though. It's a little bit more. I don't know what's the word I'm looking for. Like, it feels better knowing that security, I guess, knowing that there's a 21 million limit. Now with that though, how do you feel in the future with things like the Lightning Network and things like that, where everyone's talking blockchains and this and that? How do you feel that they will be able to do some applications or dApps or whatever they call them, where we might be able to actually vote online and do some of these other really interesting things using some of the encryption like Bitcoin?
well, I'm not a big fan of the blockchain for everything apps. I think that a database is usually more efficient, and you can have a distributed database where you just control all access to it. Part of the way the Bitcoin blockchain works is that it's public and it's open. So anyone can verify it, anyone can download the transactions. And for a lot of businesses, that's a non-starter, right? We don't want all of our, accounting information on the internet where anyone could look at it. What if we do something horrible? What if we spent $500 of client money at a strip club or whatever it is? You have reasons to keep secrets. And the thing about Bitcoin is there are no secrets. You can tell exactly how much everyone has. And a lot of people would see that as a negative. And none of these blockchain projects talk about that. None of them talk about how they're going to expose everything. Because that's not their plan. They're doing private blockchains and they're controlling all the mining. And then it's not even distributed, really. It's just like a database. So I'm not a fan of that. But as far as building things on top of Bitcoin, JW Weatherman's been a little critical of some of the projects and thinks it might be a way to ruin Bitcoin. But I'm still interested in, I screw up their names, but it's something like RSK, Rootstock, or maybe Blockstack or something like that. But they're trying to build on top of Bitcoin and have these applications and things with links into Bitcoin. And a friend of mine's actually working on one of those applications. And I am going to interview him soon to talk about it and what they're working on over there. So I think those can be very good.
It's interesting from the perspective of what I was bringing up earlier from voting. I know they tried to do that in some country. It didn't go very well, I think, earlier this year, where they tried to vote on a blockchain. And I could get that sense that it could be a security issue or something. Maybe you're in a country or something where you vote for someone that's unfavorable and, like Putin or something. I don't know. It's what I've heard nonetheless. And you get in trouble. So it'd be just interesting from that. I don't know. I mean, Bitcoin, like I always hear you say, is just software, and there's just seems like there could be some interesting things, not from the sense of like showing your privacy of certain things, but being able to maybe vote on it, or I've heard people talk about medical records, things like that. But then again, certain things might be inefficient, like you said. It's just an interesting thing that I've been pondering in my head, and it kind of would be cool, I think. I mean, at least from my perspective.
Yeah, voting is a tough nut to crack, because there's a lot of people that have interests in the voting, and there's all kinds of different ways to manipulate it. One of the hardest things I think to think about voting is that your vote needs to be private. Like you say, if you found out that I voted against Putin, I could be punished for that. So that would be a big problem if you could just go through and find all the, people that voted for whoever you don't approve of and take them out. So that's a problem. But at the same time, as a person who votes, I would like to be able to verify my vote. I would like to see that it was counted, that there is some kind of a pseudo-anonymous number.
I'm sorry, I keep
Yeah.
interrupting you. I'm not used to this internet thing here. So, but yeah, that would be kind of interesting. And that's why I was asking specifically with like Lightning networks and things like that, where they're going to be implementing potentially more privacy and stuff like that. Could that be something that you could see potentially working? I know I'm asking a lot of you.
It could be possible. I mean, I was reading in, I think it was Russell Brand's Revolution yesterday, and he was talking about different ways to improve the world. And one person's plan was to basically make systems that mimic what the government does, and then to replace the government system at a time. So I would say it would be very difficult for someone like the U.S. government to switch their voting to blockchain voting. But if we had an informal polling system where we were just kind of polling ourselves and voting and testing the system, I think we could test that for a long time and build it up and make it really good. And then it might someday be able to replace the other system. But I really like this idea of kind of like a shadow government. And you just build a system with inside the system, and then people start relying on the new systems. And then eventually we can just get rid of the old systems.
Nice. Yeah. Maybe like Africa, where they got rid of the telephone lines by going straight to cell phones.
It was impressive to see them go so fast through technology. They just skipped the phone lines, skipped the cable lines, went straight to wireless and cell phones and things like that. I'd like to see the United States do that, to skip some steps of this and to get to some kind of a computerized future where everything can be trusted and we can verify everything. I'm not sure how close we are to that, though.
Well, you know, probably as close as the metric system.
Oh, bringing back my childhood, man. I never memorized those ridiculous English number conversions because they told me we'd be metric in 5 years. And I want to say that was 1990 or something.
You sound about as old as me, Thomas. I was born in 81.
Yeah, a little bit older than that, but right in that range.
You know. So, well, Thomas, I got to get to work here. It's been very interesting chatting, and I do appreciate all your hard work here at the World Crypto Network. It was fun calling you. Maybe I'll come and check in with you in a little while. Are you going to be starting doing these at 9 o'clock or abouts there?
I'm trying to do one morning one and one evening one, and the time mainly depends on how many callers and if we have a good conversation going, that kind of thing. But yeah, I'm going to try to keep it up. It's a little tasking. I do feel like my voice goes a little bit, but I'm trying to drink lots of water and tea and keep it going.
Yeah. Well, good service. Thank you. I appreciate all your hard work there, Thomas. And hopefully in this next year or two, I mean, we're still well beneath the halving. So, you know, as long as that 21 million and this deflationary thing goes, I think we're in good shape.
All right. Thanks so much for the call, Zach. Give us a call anytime.
All right. Thanks, Thomas. Take care.
And those are some neat ideas we're talking about there, voting on the blockchain. I have a lot of interesting ideas about voting. I'm a big antagonist, or I'm very much against gerrymandering, changing the district lines. We were talking about how with Bitcoin, you can agree on the rules and then we can play within that system. What's sad about the political system in the United States is after the election of Barack Obama in 2008, the conservatives were so upset and so distraught at their chances in the future that they came up with this plan called Red Map. And they basically put millions of dollars into small races, governors and state houses, races that no one usually cares about. And they put a lot of this money in late when they were able to overcome their opponents with an incredible burst of advertising. They succeeded beyond their wildest measures and took over more state houses and more governorships than they thought possible. This allowed them to control the census. As you guys know, every 10 years in the United States, we count all the people for representation purposes. So it changes the districts and it changes the lines. And normally we just call it redrawing the districts. But when you do it with a special purpose, it's called gerrymandering. And they gerrymandered these districts like no one has ever seen. It's an incredible system where they used all of the information they have, things like your Amazon history, the things you buy, the things you watch on television, what magazines you read, what school you went to. They used all of that information to build profiles on these people. And then they arranged the districts so that the Republican districts, they win about 55-45. They're very close races, but they win every time. The Democratic districts, they win 85-15. They crush it, right? You put all the Democrats in one district. This way, the Democrats get 1 vote and the Republicans get 5 votes. And this happened all across the country. They changed the rules. Some would say based upon the demographic numbers, that this is the only way Republicans can win, that they have less people. And if the Democrats all came out and voted, they would win every time. So they need dirty tricks like this to win. So, but again, they pulled it off. They did, great work for what it is. They won. And this allowed them to control the redistricting in this country and to control these districts for the last 10 years. So we are coming up on a possible challenging point to that. But once again, the people who control voting are the people who make those decisions. We are seeing the price of Bitcoin fall below 6,300. It's at 6,280. We're seeing another large volume sell building up to 342 and rising. This is likely more people getting the news from the Tether and the Bitfinex information. They're making their decision to sell, apparently. They are freaking out, and the price is continuing to drift downwards. So yeah, I'm sorry the gerrymandering thing is boring, but I really think it's important when people change the rules so they can win. I think that it's just like with the Bcashers. When you take the name of Bitcoin, you're becoming duplicitous, right? You're acting to disguise your intentions. And when you start doing that, that's a problem. So we are watching the Bitcoin market is at 6280, 6270 on some charts. It does seem to be going down again. And you can give us a call now on Skype at World Crypto Network, all one word. We're going to try to keep the phone lines open for a little bit longer. Let's see. They say in the chat, if you find it boring, that's when they take advantage of you. And I would agree with that. I think there's a lot of specialized language in Bitcoin and trading, jargon that's designed to keep you confused and away from the knowledge. And once you break through that language barrier, it really is kind of like a language barrier, you do start to understand it. And they're saying, will Tone win 10K while on the air? I want to talk about this 10K bet. I think it's a bad idea. I think it's a bad idea because it's a lot of money. I think it's a bad idea because it destroys your journalistic integrity, right? Integrity is a big word. The quality of your character, right? Your integrity. If you're a impartial reporter, you're reporting on things. I mean, you put your opinion out there, you put your biases in. But if you start taking bets on the news, like if I had a bet that nothing would happen from this Kim Jong-un summit, I'm rooting for that to happen. When I cover that story, I might change the way that I cover that story to ensure that I win my bet. So it ruins your integrity and your objectivity. So I would be very careful with these kind of things. I think it's a lot more like a circus, like you're a clown in a circus and you're taking a bet for fun. It takes away the objectivity of covering the thing that you're covering. So I think that's something worth thinking about. You don't have to agree with me, and I'm sure it's a lighthearted bet and they meant nothing by it, but it just does kind of seem peculiar. So they're talking in the chat. They say both people do. They get free publicity from both sides of the bet. So enjoy your free publicity, but worry at the losing of your integrity. Jeremy's quoting Howard Stern. I would agree. All press is good press, but it's a little different when you're betting on the thing. So I would worry about people that don't have skin in the game, but are making frivolous bets at the same time. We're now seeing it looks like 100 Bitcoins being sold off. That's a big sell. But they're saying, yeah, some people don't have objectivity anymore. Oh, Hitesh is here. He'll talk about how movies are made. Oh, we all know how that is now. You just put everyone on a green screen. I've got a green screen right behind me now. I could make a movie here. But it is funny if you watch one of those great clips of all the television shows that are all green screens now. A lot of the backdrops and things that you just think are normal or are a set or they went on location, they just shoot that on green screen now. They'll have a railing and then they'll green screen in the water or the ocean or the city view or whatever you're supposed to be seeing. And a lot of the times it's seamless. You can't even tell. I'm really impressed with the new Hollywood. Although it is sad that it all green screened. You go back to a movie like Lawrence of Arabia, and they had to get all the extras. They all had to ride camels. They all had to ride horses. You had to launch them at the right time. This column had to run into that column. It was really like reenacting a war. It was quite an amazing thing back in the day with all the extras. Whereas now something like Game of Thrones will just have a massive crowd of digital extras. And they look good and the effects are fine. But it just doesn't have that versatility or verisimilitude, feeling of truth. It doesn't ring true. So bad news for Bitcoin again, 6,176. We are continuing to decline. People are freaking out about the Tether news. They were mentioning in the chat that a Twitter user named Bitfinex had been telling us about all of this for years. And I want to go ahead and give him a shout out because he was totally right on all this Bitfinex stuff. And they banned him and they mocked him and they chased him around. And I think they got his account taken away on Twitter a couple of times. And but that's what you get for being right and telling the truth. It's tough sometimes. We are seeing 61.55. Like the caller said, if you've sold, you probably sold already. If you're just waking up to this drop, you could sell now if you think it's going to drop more. I have no idea. It does look bad. They're saying in the chat that Doug Polk kind of pressured him. Tone didn't really want to bet money. So don't feel bad for Doug if he loses. From my perspective, and I hate to be mean to both these guys, but they're both kind of losers for taking this bet. They've lost all of their objectivity. They've lost their ability to fairly cover Bitcoin because it's no one would believe that $10,000 doesn't motivate you. Right now, we're $161 away from 6,000, and bet on it. I'll bet you would be motivated about it going down. So it's unfortunate. We seem to have a connection issue. I'm not sure if I'm even still online. It's been a rough day for Google Hangouts. I'm not sure if you're still sticking with me. I used to be able to trust that it's still working. Ask the chat if I can even still see the chat. But they're saying, yes, someone is manipulating the price. Call the SEC. You could do that. But they don't have any trading licenses. They don't have anything. So there's nothing you could take away from them. Okay, so we still got audio, got a little bit of water. Price is down to 61.60. I saw 61.20. My Bitcoin Wisdom site's not loading well right now. Oh, I'm gonna call. Let's see. Unfortunately, can't answer the call right now. Wait, hang on. Can't mute the call. Gosh, Hangouts is giving us the pain today. But let me try to get back into my other computer. I lost the remote desktop connection, and we'll give the caller a call back right as soon as we reestablish this connection. The price of Bitcoin seems to have bottomed at 61.20. Somebody's buying it back. We're at 62.70, 62.80. There is a green candle on the board, so this might not be over. Let's see. The caller looked like he was still with us, so we did make a good connection. I'm going to unmute the caller, and we're going to give you a call right back. Oh, here it is. Hello, caller. You're live on the World Crypto Network. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hey, Thomas. It's Jose calling again from Mexico. How you doing?
All right, Jose from Mexico. How's it going? Are you still holding strong, or do you remember your poems and it's time to sell?
I was up all night working on Bitcoin projects. I got some awesome new ideas, and so I barely even looked. I don't care. For me, it's not so important.
Nice, nice. Yeah, I've made some sells. I could probably live for a couple of months. It's just a question of how long this is going to be. Like if it's 3 months, I'm fine. 6 months, I'm okay. If this lasts a year or two, I'm gonna have to get a job. I don't know. So
I know, Thomas. I haven't set a number yet, but my plan is to, because I think the number where I'll have to change my lifestyle is around like 2 or 3 or something. Then I'll make a move and But I wanted to mention a couple of things that are fun, and is similar to talking to you the last couple of days was really inspiring, and I wanted to share my Bitcoin story, and I think it'll inspire some maybe more newbies to hodl.
All right, quick chart update. We are seeing 63.50. There's a big green candle on the board. They're speculating in the chat that people are buying so that Tone doesn't win his bet. But go ahead. Tell us your story. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Oh, actually, I was just gonna even write an article about it. I'm feeling like I'm not speaking really. I just woke up. I'm sorry, Tom. But I'll write about it later. And I wanted to say again how I really love this format, and I love calling you every day. I could tell you about my new projects real quick. Even it's just 2 ideas about Bitcoin, and that's cool. Do you want to hear about it real quick?
Yeah, sure. Tell us about your projects, and I'll ask you another question about Mexico after that. So just go ahead.
Cool. Yeah, you can relax your voice. Get some people calling on that have like little, little presentations to make. A little 5-minute. Maybe they could read their white paper. I think my counter wrench attack is really well written, or at least I've been working on it for like 6 months, and so I think it's gotten really, really good. But so someone could come on and read that. I just love this community connection. I love to be able to share. I live out here in Mexico all by myself, and I'm new here. So anyways, so here's one thing you guys might want to do with your Bitcoin. I'm going to integrate it. Anyways, it's give it to your friend. Give it to your trusted friend. Give them what I call a bounty. And that's money. Like, it's emergency money. I have seeds memorized, and I call those like my bug out coins. If I need to flee the country, if I need to run, and I don't have nothing on me, no paper, no treasure, no bag, no nut, I'm on the island, I got my seeds in my head, just a little bit, just a little bit, not long-term cold storage, just bug out coins. And then also I wanted to give my friends coins for emergencies. Say I disappear, they can hire investigators. Say I go to jail, they could hire lawyers. I get sick, they could pay for the medical bills. It's just emergency money. You give it to the people you're gonna give your inheritance to anyway, and that's a little test too. And see, can they hold this money? Are they responsible? I mean, anyways, but yeah, and it could be in multi-sig, for more security and stuff like that. But I thought that was just another way you can diversify and be safe.
I was muted. That does sound like a good idea. I think it's funny how we think about different things. You're thinking about giving them some of the inheritance and some of the money for the future early. I think more about buying people televisions. I'm like, I go to their house and they have a small TV, and I'm like, oh, I'll just buy you a TV, and that kind of nonsense. But we're both trying to give back, and I think that's a good idea when you make a little profit on this thing, or even if you just want to spread around what you have, so that in case you don't want to end up like that Mellon guy with the $550 million cut off forever from his family. Real tragedy, that one.
Yeah, and Thomas, this doing this, like I mentioned, is also not altruistic. It also benefits you, because if you get in trouble, like I said, whether it's a medical thing, emergency, a law, something, your friends can have money to take care of you, to help you. If they don't have money, that makes it a lot harder, But if there's money, cash ready, waiting for you, you can have people jump in to help you. So I think it also really helps people. So I'd ask people to consider that. And
also from a larger scale here, I think you're way focused on the wrench attacks. I don't know where you're living in Mexico, but you might need to move somewhere safer. You might be happy in Ohio or somewhere in the middle of the country where no one knows about Bitcoin. I just don't want you to focus too much on the negative aspects of this. I want you to enjoy things too. So.
Oh, Thomas, this isn't negative aspects. It's security. It's just like basically being safe. Before I came here, before I quit my job and focused all my energy on Bitcoin, I was an English teacher. And the first thing you do with your kids, you got to make sure your kids are safe. And we're just talking safety. This is, so we can hold our Bitcoins. This is safety, bro.
I know. Well, safety is good. I watched that McAfee movie yesterday, and I saw even with $100 million, I don't think he ever felt safe. And part of that is maybe his choices and the people he hung out with and where he went. But it seemed like he went on a resort vacation and he was going to chill. And by the end of the movie, he had 30 armed guards, and he was really nervous about everything. So I just don't want us to fall into that trap. I want us to be able to enjoy things.
Oh, Thomas, I feel so at peace and safe. Where I live is super safe and super chill. So everybody's awesome. I love it here. Oh, one of the things I wanted to mention was I want to write this article, and I want to also like share with my Bitcoin brothers and sisters other cool stuff that I know about. I just happen to be kind of weird, and I've had some weird experiences and know about some cool natural medicines and like dream yoga and sex yoga and psychedelics that are amazing medicines that you can find in your kitchen right now. Maybe that's why I didn't sleep last night. But so I have some cool things, and it's not just me. I'm sure everybody does. I noticed that, and I've tweeted about this, how the Bitcoin and meat guys, hey, that I think that's gross, but God bless them. They got their own little side, other hobbies and stuff. Oh, Tom, I go surfing every day at sunset. I'm living the life here. I live on the beach, bro.
Well, that sounds pretty good. Because I was going to say, in closing here, can you just give us a nice story about Mexico? Tell us about maybe you played volleyball on the beach or something. Just give us a nice story.
Well, I can tell you about what it's like here, and there's families. It feels like the 1980s at the beach in the summertime when you're on vacation. Flashback to the timeless moment of your youth, watching sunsets and music bands playing on the beach and kids everywhere and everybody hanging out and music playing everywhere. It's like super timeless and beautiful. The nature is gorgeous with tons of big birds diving in the water and beautiful islands and snorkeling and waves to surf and really kind people, the surfers. Oh, sweat lodge ceremonies down there with mezcal and peyote and the centro downtown. Oh, I wanted to recommend another thing. I will when I write the article is people the Bitcoiners that live in America, get out of that country. If you haven't like traveled and really spent time in other countries, you've got to do it. It's awesome. You'll love it, I'm sure.
Well, I think that's a great message, and it is great to travel. Thanks so much, Jose, for giving us a call. Give us a call anytime. He's still there, but he's gone. Okay, but thanks so much, Jose. Give us a call anytime. We did have a missed call, so if you'd like to give us a call now, you can give us a call on Skype at World Crypto Network, all one word. We'll try to keep this show going as long as we have callers. Hello, caller. You're live on the World Crypto Network. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hey, this is Peter from the Netherlands. Hi.
All right, Netherlands. How's the weather out there? Is it raining?
It's cloudy. It's cloudy. In Den Bosch, you know Den Bosch?
I'm not sure. No, I don't think I do.
Yeah, it's a nice city in the, I guess, the mid of the country.
Very good. And what's your thoughts about Bitcoin today? We're still fighting out the 6250s in Bitcoin. What are you thinking today?
Yeah, I got 10K beginning this month and spend them too early, I guess. But yeah, choices, huh?
Yeah, we're looking at 6255.
Sorry?
Huh?
Do you have a certain subject that you're talking about today, or just the course, the charts?
Oh, we're definitely talking about the charts. We're watching the price go down, the Bitfinex and the Tether news. Does this make you want to sell your Bitcoin, or do you still believe in the technology?
It makes me want to buy more at this point. I guess unwilling to lose every euro or dollar because they're only making war. So I just
Sure. And if you were in a country like Venezuela, the inflation's so bad.
For the bigger good, I guess. So no, just hodling, you know, just opting out of fiat,
Yep, nice.
into crypto, I guess. What is the news then? Bitfinex.
Yeah, there's a thing in the news. The New York Times and the Bloomberg are reporting that Bitfinex and Tether may have been manipulating the market. There's a secondary article that we just pulled up. I haven't gotten a chance to read that claims there might even be a cartel behind Bitcoin, and that people are in some kind of a complicit market manipulation scheme.
Okay, yeah. It's kind of weird that we don't know who Satoshi Nakamoto really is, huh? So it's a bit of strange that we don't know who has how much Bitcoin and how it's made and who is it. And China has a lot of has a red button, I guess, that they can press once they want it. So it's kind of cartel world. I don't know how to say it. You cannot simply just trust it blindly, I guess.
Nope, there's always something behind everything. You wonder why people are doing something, and it turns out they're making a lot of money by doing something. So
yeah, money, huh? Gold or fiat.
that's it. And apparently, what's so strange about this is at least the names that have been named so far, and these are all allegedly. These people have lots of money. I don't know why they even need more money. I don't.
I don't know
I
what
guess I'm. I don't.
is, and did they make Tether then? Or
Bitfinex made Tether, and it seems like the same people that made it were using it to pump altcoins, driving up the price of Bitcoin. This is all still developing.
they can have USD digital USDT.
That's it. That's it. And once they started printing that,
money, so
it's
printing digital money or something.
Everybody that comes into Bitcoin says, "I just want to print my own money," and the rest of us are horrified because that's what we got into this to stop. So.
Oh yeah! Whoa! Aye! And now, yeah.
Well, thanks so much for the call, Peter. Give us a call anytime.
Sorry.
Sorry, do you have a question, or we might have to move on to the next call?
I don't know what Bitfinex is. Is that they can buy crypto or?
Yep, Bitfinex is an exchange in Europe. You can buy Bitcoin and Tether, and apparently altcoins as well.
Okay, I use lightbit.eu. I don't know who made that one, but USD Tether, yeah, that's the whole subject. But thank you for your service, and thank you for your time and your energy. Really appreciate it. I try to inform a lot of people I know here, but a lot of people are worried about me when I'm speaking about those things. So they look at my past, but yeah, it is what it is. I guess make choices in life.
That's it. Yep, and you gotta tell your friends about it. You gotta spread the word about Bitcoin, even when the price is down, and maybe even more when the price is down.
Yeah, it's an opportunity to buy tons of gold, I guess, for the future.
There it is. This is the digital gold.
Huh?
Digital gold.
I would buy one today, I guess.
There you go. It's take a chance, though. But thanks so much for the call, and enjoy the Netherlands. It's a beautiful country. It's wonderful times there.
Thank you too. It's beautiful to look here. I can look like 4 kilometers far. So
fantastic. Enjoy it, man. Give us a call again soon. And we're going to go ahead and take the calls off for a little while. I'm going to go through that article that we were sent about the real cartel in Bitcoin. I'm sorry that we can't have video right now. Something went wrong with the Google this morning, and we didn't end up with video. We just ended up with audio. It looks good on my end, but we're making do with what we've got. This article was written by Crypto Medication. He posted it to Medium. Medium is a website where anyone can post articles. So this is not like a Bloomberg or a New York Times article. The information that he's presenting to us in here may or may not be true. We don't have any other sources on this information. I'm going to generally just read it, but we'll also stop for some commentary. If you have something to say in the chat, let me know in the chat. And then after we read this article, I'll open up the phone lines again, and maybe we can chat about this exciting new information and see whether you guys believe it and what you think, because we just don't know at this point. Okay, swore water. All right, starts out. Disclaimer. Consider everything you read here to be an opinion I have formed based upon what I have observed and researched personally. These are merely the associations and relationships that I have found, and all influences and insinuations are explicitly my opinion based upon the deductive reasoning I used. The individuals mentioned in this article are analyzed solely in their roles as public figures and not for any of their personal or physical attributes or characteristics in the capacity as a private citizen. No criticisms of the individuals named in this article are done outside of this defined scope of examination. So here we go. Introduction. Bitfinex, Tether, Kraken, Barry Silbert, owner of DCG, Roger Ver, Eric Voorhees, and the CME, and many other actors in the market appear to be all connected together and complicit in market manipulation of some sort. In addition, Poloniex, CoinDesk, and other parties appear to be at least peripherally involved. I am aware of the potential implications of this post, and I am willing to face any and all consequences for posting this information. I'm going to break down this entire post into major facts. I'll paste this in here. This is not simply a focus on Tether, although they are a part of it. Tether is merely at the root. The problem itself is systemic and much larger. Thus, even the elimination of Tether will not cure it. Some people may call this FUD. To that I say, if the technology is truly revolutionary and life-changing, it will always exist the same way that the dollar has existed, despite numerous wars, bloodshed, crimes, evil, laundering, and suffering that has been perpetrated at its hands. So perhaps the grand lesson here is that we as humans have the ability to change the nature of money, but money will never change the nature of humans. This entire write-up will be split into different revelations, totaling 11 altogether. And if you're just joining us now, the price of Bitcoin is $62.50. It did hit a recent low of $61.20, falling from around $64.50. It's now in the middle of those two at around $62.20. We're reading an article from Crypto Medication, which claims that there is a Bitcoin cartel operating within Bitcoin using Tether and Bitfinex to manipulate the price of Bitcoin. This article is from Medium. It is not from the New York Times. We are exploring it, and I am learning as I read it. We do not know if this article is true or false. Revelation number 1. Tether and Bitfinex are essentially run by the same individuals. Tether and Bitfinex are run by the same person, people collective. This is something that was revealed by the release of the Paradise Papers in late 2017-2018. As the title of the article suggests, Phil Potter and Giancarlo Devasani, both listed as executive for Bitfinex, will also be revealed to be in the executive structure of Tether as well. This was an association that they'd previously denied for obvious reasons. You probably know the work of Bitfinex, the guy we mentioned on Twitter, and that this relationship was implicit in a number of ways based upon the facts that Bitfinex was the primary trader of Tether tokens, and still is. Revolution number 2. Tether is probably being used to manipulate and pump USDT paired altcoins, not Bitcoin. A lot of people think that Tether has been used to pump Bitcoin. On the contrary, I believe that the model for this changed after the CME adoption, the futures release in December. Rather than pumping Bitcoin, I believe that they decided to pump all of the other USDT traded pairs. I showed the relationship between the timing of the treasury transfers of Tether and the ridiculous pumps of random coins that have been occurring since December. It is my firm belief that different USDT traded pair coins such as XRP, Neo, Litecoin, EOS, and several others have been pumped for the purposes of acquiring more Bitcoin. Once that's acquired, they Tether use said Bitcoin to sell over the counter, not on an exchange direct person to person. Or perhaps they merely sell this Bitcoin directly on exchanges after accumulating and could potentially account for the way that the Bitcoin price has been subsequently drilled down since December. There's a more detailed article that he links to. This could account for certain price increases in Bitcoin after treasury transfers as well, because rather than selling Bitcoin for USD/USDT, investors would be selling it for XRP or whatever coin they're pumping. Thus, the total number of Bitcoin available on the sell side of USDT markets and the exchanges would be minimized. And the basic principle of supply and demand tells us with the decreased supply, the price will increase. He does admit that he could be completely wrong. Given the nature of distributed ledgers and exchanges, it's virtually impossible to track the flow of currency once it hits an exchange, and exchanges aren't necessarily breaking their necks to provide any greater transparency on their trading activities. Revelation number 3, the biggest mistake Bitfinex and Tether made was asking customers to deposit euros into a shell bank account. This crucial mistake has allowed journalists like myself to venture all the way through to the furthest depths of this rabbit hole. He then links to an article that he says is very important from trustnodes.com. The headline is Bitfinex reveals a new Polish bank account under a Panama registered company. This is a very confusing development here. The article was written in November of 2017. It didn't get too much attention at that point in time, but is deadly important right now, in his opinion, for a few reasons. The headline of the article I read says, now the article was released at a time where there was great speculation about Bitcoin's banking because Wells Fargo had dissolved their relationship with them around mid-2017. Here's an article from the New York Times. It says, warning signs about another giant Bitcoin exchange. Revolution number 3, Tether is bogus, undeniably. In my opinion, this is something that really should be beyond dispute at this point, but there are still naysayers in the community. So it's his hopes that this revelation section will provide a compelling case for why Tether is bogus, and by association, Bitfinex as well. So after the Wells Fargo partnership with Bitfinex was dissolved by Wells Fargo promptly, we still don't have a specific reason for this from the bank itself. The major concern in the community, and apparently from Bitfinex as well, was whether or not Bitfinex would be able to continue doing business, and most notably, whether tethers could continue to be issued. This entire saga began in March of 2017, when news initially broke that Wells Fargo was discontinuing any and all banking agreements with the company Bitfinex, leaving their accounts essentially frozen. In April 2017, Bitfinex decided to strike back with a lawsuit against Wells Fargo. It's worth noting that this complaint against Wells Fargo, it was stated, Wells Fargo's suspension of US dollar wire transfers is also interfering with plaintiffs' ability to conduct business, and such as their ability to pay employees and suppliers. So in the words of Bitfinex themselves, this action by Wells Fargo essentially compromised their ability to remain solvent. What's even more interesting is the fact that they defined the parties in this case in a way that depicted Tether as an entity that operated independently from iFinex, the parent company of Bitfinex, which isn't necessarily untrue. Two people can own two different and unrelated companies, but it does border heavily on dishonesty and perhaps even perjury due to a failure to accurately disclose the apparent ties between the two companies. This lines up with an expose by an observant Twitter user a few months ago. Reeve C. claims to be the CEO of Tether.to. It even says in his Twitter bio, the truth, Reeve C. is lying about its position within Tether in order to conceal their connection with Bitfinex. This confirms that J.L. Van de Velde is the CEO of both Finex and Tether. So this is very interesting to see what's going on behind the scenes with Tether and Bitfinex. Article continues. As we all know, Bitfinex and eventually withdrew their lawsuit against Wells Fargo. In his opinion, this wasn't a sudden decision, and the motivation behind doing so is probably the same reason why they've never followed through with their lawsuit against the user Bitfinex, who they publicly threatened to sue a few months ago as well. They don't want the discovery process. In the United States, whenever one entity attempts to sue another for any reason, there's something called discovery. This is a process where any and all relevant documents and even personal correspondence are turned over to opposing counsel. As you can imagine, if your business isn't operating above board, the results of such a process would be devastating, to say the least. Let's jump forward to August 2017. In the above excerpt, published August 7th, 2017 by Bitfinex in Hacker Noon, the dilemma was posed by the public withdrawal of banking support by Wells Fargo was epitomized well. The statement, Tether the company, claimed that the supply of tethers would not increase until their banking problem was solved, is corroborated by this archived press release from the company. Tether, an online digital token, claimed that each token was backed by a US dollar to preserve the peg. Okay, so I'm going to try to read a little faster and skip around here. This article is really long. As if things couldn't get worse, both companies were rocked by a subpoena. So all of this is things that we knew. We knew there was a problem with Bitfinex and Wells Fargo. We knew there was a problem with their banking relationship, and we don't know how they solved it. So we'll keep going here. Really long article. He's pasting in charts now. They printed 600 million tethers 2 days before news of the subpoena dropped. So once again, once you let people print money, they will start doing it in a manner. Revelation number 4, the biggest mistake Bitfinex and Tether ever made. This is still kind of the same revelation from the last one, asking customers to deposit euros into their shell bank account. Looks like he's repeating some of what he said here. So we're going to skip past all this. Those are curious. Let's see. There's still a lot of more information to parse through. Here's the isolated items he believed that deserve the most attention. What I'm not seeing in this article is any evidence against Mr. Silbert or Roger Ver or anyone else for the drug mixing. Crypto Capital Corp. There's a company that owns 99% of Bitfinex's shell account in Poland. I don't know. I mean, it's going to take a lot to read this article. Let's see. Bitfinex may have gotten exposed for money laundering in a recent Polish raid. I do remember this article he's talking about. It came out in April. It was covered by Cointelegraph, and we mentioned it here. There was a very strange, unconfirmed problem in Poland with Bitfinex. So they had a problem with attempted money laundering or some kind of thing. It never made any sense, and it's still pretty huge. He's saying that he waved it off as something that could be bullshit, but it keeps coming back. He's saying we should read other articles as well. He's using the F word now, starting to head downhill here. Colombian drug cartels. This is where it got really interesting. Something about the Polish connection between Bitfinex and allegedly Colombian drug cartels. It's very dangerous when you start touching other people's money. They're talking about the exchange. The bank account was in Poland. I don't know. Is anyone else reading this article? Are you getting anything out of it? Here's Panama. Here's Poland. It's got a map. That's funny. Okay, so Panamanian citizens. Everything fact that we learned about Bitfinex months ago. It just seems like a real mess. I don't know what's true. Okay, so now here we go. Revelation number 6. All of the above information connects us directly to Barry Silbert, Roger Ver, Eric Voorhees, Ira Miller, and several major exchanges / entities in the crypto space. Allegedly, according to this article. So we're just covering there because we don't want to accuse anyone of anything we don't have evidence of. Okay, so Polish information. Here's your account. All the exchanges were linked together in cryptocapital.co. If you go to Coinapult, excuse me. Coinapult now says that they're integrated with Crypto Capital. So it sounds like one company has kind of joined and merged together many of these exchanges. Eric Voorhees is apparently behind the Crypto Capital company. More about Voorhees. It's just a really long article. I wish the guy would do an executive summary. That's my wish if you're watching out there, Crypto Medication. Give us a little less. So we know that Coinapult is based in Panama, just like the company Crypto Capital, which owns the shell company Crypto SP ZOO. There's a documentary called The Rise and Rise of Bitcoin. I've seen it. They say, you moved your business to Panama. What was the primary driver behind that? And Eric Voorhees says that he did so to avoid KYC and AML laws. That's not new information. We know that Voorhees is a libertarian and he doesn't like KYC, AML laws. They're asking in the chat, is Bitfinex the next Mt. Gox? Maybe. I don't know. We're in a very strange position here. I've always thought that Tether was weird and maybe a little suspicious. And now this new article and the New York Times articles saying that there might have been manipulation using Tether is pretty questionable. So now we're seeing Coinapult. If Tether is moving hundreds of millions of dollars, they'd need something like Coinapult. It says Barry Silbert and Roger Ver are also involved in Coinapult. I'm still not seeing a smoking gun connecting them to Tether and Bitfinex. But there does seem to be a lot of information here. Different people, digital currency group. They control all the other groups. I don't know. It's getting pretty conspiratorial here. Last paragraph is really important. DCG will house a portfolio of 57 seed stage investments that Silbert and the team have already made, including Chain, Circle, Coinbase, Ripple, and Zappo. Okay, so yeah, I know DCG. They're invested in everything. I'm not surprised. He also says at the bottom that DCG received money from CME Ventures, the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. But these seem like very surface links. I'm not getting a lot of great link out of this. So I'm not 100% ruling it out, but I'm just not being convinced. He's showing a lot of information here about the SEC and various problems with the people connected to these things. And there's a lot of confusing, strange things going on in Bitcoin, but I'm just not so sure. So now he's saying revelation number 8, Coinbase, Kraken, Polynex, and Bitfinex obviously are implicated pretty heavily. And he's saying because Circle owns DCG, I don't know. These are kind of weak links here. I'm not getting that great a connection to this. Yes, Goldman made an investment into Circle. Yeah, there's a lot of investing going on. I mean, if you really want to talk about things that are fishy, Barry Silbert coming on and backing the ETC, and then ETC getting pumped and pumped and pumped, and now added to Coinbase, Coinbase. That one's really fishy. I've always thought that been strange. Okay, so yeah, Barry owns part of Kraken. I mean, the same investors own part of all the initial Bitcoin websites. I'm not being convinced by this information. So I am not so sure about this potential drug cartel involved in Bitfinex. However, that Polish article still does ring a bell. That was a major strange thing when it started to involve Bitfinex, Poland, and Colombian drug lords. So that's very strange. But we're still trying to work through this Medium article that's just too long and started out very revelatory and ended up not so much. Conclusion. The core point that he wants to drive home here is there appears to be a web of nefarious activity among many of the bigger players in this space. I think there's definitely a web of activity. I'm not sure how nefarious it is. He says to tie everything up, because he knows this is a monster article. Thank you for admitting it. And I'm going to read his conclusion. You can make your own mind up. This is some guy's article. He says Bitfinex and Tether are inextricably linked to a shell bank account in Poland. This bank account is owned by Crypto Capital, and we have more than one way to prove the connection that Crypto Capital is the cornerstone of Coinapult, which is owned by Voorhees, Ver, and Silbert. The idea that they're unaware of this connection seems highly unlikely. If they are aware, they are grossly incompetent as businessmen and investors, and it speaks volume to their ability. He believes that they are aware. He believes that they are nefarious. Here's his point of what actually happens. This is just 4 points, so I'm going to read it. Number one, Tether is printed at some point in time from thin air because at this point it's backed by zilch and they aren't taking in any customer payments. It is then used to pump an altcoin that is a USDT traded pair. Once this pump is complete, they sell or dump these altcoins for Bitcoin. The Bitcoin is subsequently sold to an exchange like Coinapult or something else that doesn't require any type of KYC AML. Convenient, right? Coinapult, after holding that Bitcoin that they essentially bought, can retrade it to bad actors like the Colombian cartel or anyone else that has some obscure need for Bitcoin. They may even sell it over the counter. Once again, the above list is only speculation, but it makes the most sense. In this case, any process that they are using is extracting Bitcoin from the market because once they dump from the top of an alt pump like EOS, for example, they're extracting millions of Bitcoin from the USDT or USD traded pair markets, which shoots the price up. Then they sell these Bitcoin over the counter to another exchange, likely something like Coinapult, which will give them USD. Coinapult then sells this over the counter to anyone that bothers to trade to them. This is a major OTC deal. This Bitcoin will make it onto the exchange. If the CME is colluding in this effort, we're getting really conspiratorial here. At the very least, being used as a tool to facilitate this illicit profit again, I'd imagine the strategy of drilling down the price is one that's awful profitable as they manipulate the markets. He's more inclined. Okay, so he's still going on. He says, in his opinion, this seems to be okay. So I think this case is pretty closed on whether Tether and Bitfinex are involved in nefarious activities. However, I'm of the opinion that they don't care because Bitfinex is essentially a shell company. They've already laundered an absurd amount of money through Tether, exchange liquidations, and other illicit activities, in the poster's opinion. So, barring an actual criminal prosecution, which would require their locations to be discovered, they can coast into the sunset with hundreds of millions if their plan is ever foiled. In his opinion, it seems to be what they're angling for anyway, and who knows, this may very well be the case. It depends on how thorough the SEC, CFTC, FBI, and any other monitoring regulatory bodies are in their apprehension and prosecution procedures. Rest assured, though, they're on it. Tether's days are limited. That's already case closed. However, it remains to be seen whether these days of certain exchanges and individuals in the space will be limited as well. Only time will tell. So really long article, tough read. Didn't make a lot of sense. Didn't really deliver, in my opinion, on its accusations. It's unfortunate to try to label all these guys. They do invest in Bitcoin companies. I do think that's true. I don't know any information that they have done anything nefarious. Bitfinex and Tether, on the other hand, that seems like a big mess. But once again, I don't have any information that they're nefarious as well. But we do have the New York Times article and the Bloomberg articles talking about market manipulation caused by Bitfinex and Tether. So this story is still developing. We're going to keep an eye on it over the next few days as it develops. I'm trying to open up the phone lines again, but I'm having trouble connecting to my remote desktop computer. It's strange, things always work and then they stop working suddenly. We are keeping track of the price of Bitcoin. It did touch as low as 6120 before rebounding all the way up to 6400. Now it's back in the 6250 range, almost precisely in the middle between the fall and the rise. So we don't know what direction it's going to. Remember, it's going to take 24 hours for people to learn about the potential manipulation from Bitfinex. Once they learn about it, people are going to have to make up their own decisions on whether they buy or sell. We are seeing a lot of sells. The volume was very high on the sells. But I attempted to read that article. I thought it was interesting. And if you guys want to give me a call, you can give me a call right now on Skype, World Crypto Network. I've opened the phone lines back up and unmuted the Mac Pro. We're still watching the price of Bitcoin. We're talking about Bitfinex and Tether. There's this article on Medium. It seems a little conspiratorial, where the guy talks on and on about potential problems with Poland, bank account there by Bitfinex, potential problems in Colombia, a lot of drug lords down there that may want to buy your dirty Bitcoin, and several undocumented claims against major people in Bitcoin. It is a strange space. I do think that Roger and Barry and some of the other early investors have invested in almost everything, and that does get confusing, and that might seem a little conspiratorial on the outside, but we don't seem to have any direct information that shows they were acting in bad faith. The Tether thing is pretty creepy all around. It's always been creepy. It's always been from the idea that, okay, it's locked to $1, so you have a bank account somewhere with a bunch of dollars in them. So if I come and seize that bank account, now you have a worthless altcoin. So it seemed like a recreation of Liberty Dollars or eGold, where there was a centralized server that you could just go and claim. And it never made any sense. I don't know why people were into it. I know why they want a stable coin. Like Circle said recently, they want to have you hold $100 in an account and charge you $10 a month for fees for 10 months. And they want the $100 to be there. So I get that. I also want to say that as Tether starts to self-destruct, which is definitely happening, Circle was already planning on USDC. So they're going to do this again. They're probably going to do this again at a larger scale and with bigger players. So I don't think it's a good idea either. But again, it doesn't matter or what I think is a good idea or if I think they should be printing their own money. Everybody comes into this space and they think it's just fantastic. And then they look at Bitcoin and they say, how can I make any money? Somebody already owns all the Bitcoin. And then they have to print their own money. So, and then you just have all these excuses about why we printed our money and why it's better than the other money printing. And at your very core, you're just like, I'm against money printing. The last time we did that was Bitcoin, and that should be the last time. It should be it. So checking out the chat, they say, you'll never know the truth. That's unfortunate. He says, any information delivered on this story will be an attack on Bitcoin. It does seem like overall, whoever did this, if they did this, attacked Bitcoin anyway. They attacked Bitcoin by driving the price up. They sold. They drove up other altcoins and sold. They drove up this and that and sold. They're already attacking Bitcoin. So USDT is used for money laundering. Rolando's been telling people that for months now. And so did the Twitter account Bitfinex. Let's give another shout out to Bitfinex, who was banned, Bitfinex, who was chased away from Twitter, and Bitfinex, who said several times, there's something fishy going on in this Tether thing. And interesting stuff. They say, did you read the 66-page academic paper? Why did I read the speculative paper? Oh, well, I read the speculative paper because it was more interesting. Come on. The speculative paper had all the hot links in the top and all the information about it. It was Barry and it was Roger or whatever. And when you actually looked at it, I was not convinced by his arguments that it's Barry or that it's Roger. And I also said allegedly like a dozen times. So I'm trying to download the 66-page research paper, and it's making me create an account. Oh, get me Aaron Schwartz. Get me Aaron Schwartz on the phone. Oh, why do I need to make an account? Okay, it looks like I can open the standard version. Well, I can open the abstract. This paper investigates whether Tether, a digital currency pegged to US dollars, influences Bitcoin and other cryptocurrency prices during the recent boom. Using algorithms to analyze the blockchain data, we find that purchases with Tether are timed following market downturns and result in sizable increases in Bitcoin prices. Less than 1% of hours with heavy Tether transactions are associated with 50% of the meteoric rise in Bitcoin and 64% of other top cryptocurrencies. The flow clusters below round prices induces asymmetric autocorrelations in Bitcoin and suggests incomplete Tether backing before month's ends. These patterns cannot be explained by investor demand proxies, but are most consistent with the supply-based hypothesis, where Tether is used to provide price support and manipulate cryptocurrency prices. Okay, so that sounds really rough. I think this guy has the juice. As opposed to the other article, which I tried to read, this guy has a much better task on it. He's looking at the information purely from the outside, using algorithms to analyze the data, and he's found some strange things in the data. This paper was just released today, June 13th, and starting to lose my voice. I don't know how long this show is, but I think it's getting to be pretty long. So I am trying to access the PDF of the paper. A great title. Is Bitcoin really untethered? It's frustrating. It kind of, I try to give you my honest reaction. It kind of pisses me off. It kind of pisses me off because I never liked Tether. I never liked stable coins. I like Bitcoin. And people are always printing coins and attaching them to Bitcoin. And I don't know that the usual suspects or the guy that he accused did this, or that Bitfinex did this, or whoever did this. I disagree with you doing this. I think this was bad, man. I don't like it. I guess it doesn't matter. You manipulated the market. You made a lot of money. You saw a clever way to make a lot of money. Everyone only cares about making a lot of money, but there is another side to this. I don't know who did this. I don't know if we're going to find out. I don't know if they're going to be punished, but there is karma. There is something out there, a system that says if you do good things, good thing happens. And if you do bad things happen to you. And much like the telltale heart, if they've been manipulating Bitcoin, if they've been taking millions of dollars off of the table and running this market up and driving it down and these kind of things, karma will get them. They know in their hearts that they've done wrong. One of the interesting things I thought about watching the trailer to this Mr. Rogers documentary and thinking more about Mr. Rogers is people know when they're doing right or wrong. When you're doing the right thing, it feels good. When you're doing the wrong thing, it feels bad. Some people, yeah, maybe their instincts are broken, feelings to things, and that's a problem with their brain chemistry, and it's a complicated system. Depression's a real thing. Multi-personality is a real thing. But for most people, I would say most people know when you're screwing someone over, and most people know when you're doing a nice thing for someone, or whether you're just being fair or giving them a chance. The call-ins, you can call in anytime right now on Skype, World Crypto Network, all one word. The lines are open since I stopped reading that article. I have a little bit of voice left. I'm trying to stick it out. Maybe we'll do 10 more minutes. If you could talk on the calls, that would help so I could save my voice. But this is an exciting moment, an exciting morning. We've had Bloomberg, the New York Times, reporting on this 66-page research paper, Is Bitcoin Really Untethered? We had a Medium article, seemed kind of out of left field, claiming that all the exchanges were involved in a cabal and were manipulating it and using drug money. And we don't know for sure if that's true, but there have been suspicious links between Bitfinex and Poland. There's a strange link in Poland to Colombian drug lords. And it does seem clear that Bitfinex is avoiding discovery at all costs. As the article said, the legal practice of discovery in the United States forces you to turn over all of your documents, all of your emails, all of your accounts and everything. So it is a major process that if you were hiding something, you'd want to avoid. And if you've been smuggling hundreds of millions of dollars out of these systems and running the price up and down, once again, even if there's not a specific law against this, and there might not be, there might be some kind of a loophole where Bitcoin's not a real thing, so you can just do whatever you want. But there is karma, there is right and wrong, and at the end of the day, things might not go so well for you. So we are trying to keep the phone lines open. A little tired of hearing my own voice, if you can believe that. But it's around 62 on the Bitcoin chart. We're seeing a little bit of a rolling after the low of 61.20 and the recent high of 6,400. We're sticking with it. We've been on for a couple of hours. We're going to try to look for another phone call, maybe read a little bit more of my novel, although I don't know if I have the voice for that. So Orson's going to call in 3 to 5 minutes. I'm going to try to hang out there. But part of the show is I just have to keep talking. And I drank all my water. So there's a little left. But we did not see 6,000. We did not see 6,000. So if you are keeping track of the great bet, where I've already sadly told you that everyone involved at the bet is a loser. they've all lost on both sides. The author of the Medium post you sent the Skype to, or the author of the scientific paper. I'd be glad to talk to either, but more interested in the scientific paper right now. Although, in the same way, I think if the Medium article guy could really convince me, I'd be interested to give him a chance. I certainly tried to be convinced by his Medium article. I didn't feel like he had the exact links, and he was even clear in his disclaimer that he was making these links by public guesses, and that this company is involved in that company and that kind of thing. It seems like the fellow who wrote the 66-page research paper also was making guesses from public information, but his public information was mainly from the blockchain and the buys and the sells. So he's looking at more mathematical buys and sells. They're saying in the chat that the Mayer multiple is at 1. Oh man, the moving average must be way down. So we don't know if Bitcoin's going to drop under 6K. Excuse me. No one knows. We do know that people today are reacting to the Bitfinex news, which was broken by the New York Times, Nathaniel Popper, and Bloomberg, and others this morning. The headline from the New York Times: Bitcoin's price was artificially inflated last year, researchers say. And they go on to discuss the Tether information and the 66-page research paper released by John Griffin, finance professor at the University of Texas, and Amin Shams, a graduate student. This is likely what is driving the price down. Google Hangouts broke the video this morning, so we are sticking with the black screen. Pretend it's a radio show. And later on, when this is converted to podcast, it will be a radio show. So everyone watching the radio show is having no difficulties. Everything is working. I could have stopped and restarted and all that, but you don't want to lose the audience. And we were kind of rolling. And again, it's kind of just a verbal thing. You can look at the Bitcoin chart if you want. I'm describing it. And I'm also putting the links to things in the chat below. And we're discussing the New York Times, the Medium article, and the 66-page research paper. I sent the Skype to Phil Potter. I'm sure he's going to call in. Part of me, I really wish, I don't want to disturb him, but I wish I could talk to my buddy Chris Ellis, because Chris Ellis did work for Bitfinex. And I don't know if he knew anything about this, or if he was involved, or if he saw anything. He probably had to sign a non-disclosure agreement as well, so I'm not going to be directly challenging him or anything. But if anyone is involved in Bitfinex and has insider information and they want to send it to us to get it out to the public, you can send it to us on Twitter at madbitcoins, or my email, madbitcoins@madbitcoins.com. That was tough to guess. Jeremy says Phil's lawyer would probably advise against calling in. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I'm not his lawyer either, and I'd advise against that as well. The Bitfinex company, no matter what the truth is here, has some major litigation coming their way. And we'll see how that goes. Obviously, the story is driving down the price of Bitcoin. We're at 62.70. We saw a low of 61.20. And this comes after the South Korean hack, which they believe drove down the price. But if you really look at it with the benefit of hindsight, imagine if you knew the New York Times was going to publish an article about Bitfinex, you'd sell all your Bitcoin. So if we look at these previous dumps and we wonder why it did that, somebody probably knew. That's what's so funny, is that I don't think it was the reporters or anyone else, but maybe someone at Bitfinex. Once you've broken the law once, why not break the law again, right? Allegedly. These kind of things. You in for a penny, in for a pound. It doesn't make sense for me because I'm not British, but I do think it's funny. So it doesn't seem like there's any more callers. We're reaching 10:30. I think we started around 8:30, so that's about 2 hours. Looks like my novel thing reset to the beginning, so I'm going to find out where I left off. But even the previous section I read was starting to get a little long. Oh, and now it's going to get political. I'm going to read the novel another time. My voice is kind of done for today. We'll be back again for a later show, for a Bitcoin talk show after dark, or maybe in the afternoon if something exciting happens. I would show you the QR code so you can donate right now, but the video is not working. So go ahead and find that QR code on worldcryptonetwork.com and you can donate. Go to patreon.com/WCN. You can join our Patreon, donate as much or as little as you'd like to every month. It'll just charge your credit card. You could do $10 a month, something like that would be cool. And give us a thumbs up and a share if you're watching this later. Be sure to subscribe down below. The Bitcoin searches are down, subscribers are down. I still like doing these shows. I like hanging out with you guys, but it is a little bit of a bummer that the audience is not growing. I know normal startups would hide that information and lie to you, but I'm going to tell you the truth. Searches are down, views are down, subscribers are down, but we still like doing this. And yeah, we're going to have more calls later. If you didn't get to call in right now today, I'm going to open it up again in the evening, probably around 7 or 8 o'clock Pacific Coast time. But thanks so much for watching. I'm very tired of talking. I'm going to stop talking for about 6 hours. I'll talk to you guys later. Until next time, bye-bye.